Welcome to Fade or Fly with Mike and the Feather, your weekly football podcast recorded right here in the heart of Sin City. Join Mike and the Feather as they dive into the world of sports bet predictions, game analysis, and serve up a healthy dose of Vegas-style humor. Whether you're looking to ride the winning streak or soar to new heights in your football knowledge, this is the podcast for you. Let's embark on this gridiron adventure together from the entertainment capital of the world.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Fade or Fly, this week with just Mike. You might notice a little bit different setup here today. Unfortunately, the Feather, aka Jason, he was getting a little bit hoarse last week if you watched the previous video. Today, the man has no voice practically whatsoever. We talked on the phone for a bit. For everybody's safety and health, we decided that I was just going to take over the picks duties this week. So Feather has graciously provided me with his 4 picks for the week. We're going to go over those. I compiled some notes of my own to mix in with his. Hopefully you'll find it intriguing. I am definitely more of a stats details guy, so this might be a little bit different than what you're used to with the Feather. Not saying better or worse, just different. I always welcome all comments and criticisms down below in the comment section. So please, if there's something you don't like about the show, be detailed. Let me know. I appreciate it. I run a couple of different podcasts. I'm getting my second one up and going right now, and this kind of information really helps me grow. This is a fun hobby for me. I just have a good time doing it. So, and if I sound a little bit slurry or stuffy as well, there is something building up in me as well too. I'm kind of running on rock stars and cough medicine. So with no further ado, here are the Feathers. Take it to the bank picks of the week. Okay, I hope you will forgive me as I present these picks to you if I'm referring to notes, but this is a lot. I don't know how the man does it. I am more of a casual gambler and a casual sports fan. I know enough to go to the sports book and think I know what I'm doing. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I think I'm like a lot of people. We're here for the fun and the discussion. I don't have the wealth of knowledge of any mistakes I make, names I mispronounce, stats I get wrong. Please correct me, but understand I'm doing the best I can here. Hopefully you will find this useful. Let me stop rambling. Let's just get into it. Pick number 1 this week, 10 a.m. game. We have the Atlanta Falcons versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are at home, favored by 2.5 points. Up for grabs in this one is the top spot in the NFC South, with the Atlanta Falcons coming in at 3-3, and the Bucs having already had their bye week coming in at 3-2. It's a division battle, so you cannot count anybody out or any team out, and you can't discount how huge home field advantage is going to be in this one. Statistics-wise, Tampa Bay really has an edge against the Falcons with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Mike Evans has 85 catches for 1,317 yards with 10 touchdowns in 16 games. Meanwhile, Chris Godwin has 61 catches for 879 yards with 9 touchdowns in just 11 games against the Falcons in their careers. So this obviously goes back to the Tom Brady days. Forgive me, I said the TB word, but they've always been able to step up against this Atlanta Falcons team. On the defensive side for the Bucs, their front is solid. They're only allowing 84 rushing yards per game, but 247 in the air for the season. However, mathematically speaking, the Bucs are only allowing 16 points per game to opposing teams for the entire season. So despite allowing 318 yards, the points off of those yards has been relatively low. And to put it in perspective, the Buffalo Bills are behind them, allowing 325 yards to a team through the season, and the Eagles are at 309. So they're right there in between, really good company. Conversely, though, the Atlanta Falcons are averaging 16.5 points a game. So both teams are right within their scoring and defensive wheelhouse for this one. Last week, the Bucs were held to 2 field goals. But on the other side, Desmond Ridder threw 3 interceptions, so looked a little bit shaky there in that outing after a couple of really good games. You also have to look at the Lions' time of possession last week. They dominated the Bucs in that category. So Baker Mayfield did not have a chance to go out there and do things which he could be capable of. So all factors considered, expect a close game, but the Feather has the Bucs taking this one -2.5 for 2 units. The Green Bay Packers versus the Denver Broncos. The Pack is currently only favored by 1 point. So good news for the Pack, though. Coming off a bye week, Aaron Jones is back. This is one of the first times that Jordan Love has had all of his offensive weapons ready to go at once. And we got to put it out there. Denver, statistically, the worst defense in the NFL. They are allowing a league-leading 172.3 rushing yards alone, which is 25 more than the closest team, which, of course, is the New York Football Giants, but we won't get into that. We don't expect much from the Giants. As a team, though, 440 total yards allowed to opponents. So if there is a bounce-back game for Jordan Love to get into and coming off of a bye, this is a team you want to do it against. Russell Wilson spends a lot of time on the ground. Last week, he took his 501st career sack. He's been sacked 19 times so far this season. Now, of course, we have to mention that last Thursday night, the Chiefs did seem to struggle a little bit with the Denver Broncos. I'm not sure how much of that was struggling with the Denver Broncos and struggling with themselves, but even so, the Broncos could still only manage 8 points of offense against a defense that is allowing just about 50 fewer yards than the Green Bay Packers are for the season. So unless Sean Payton has some tricks up his sleeve, this is a favorable matchup for the Packers against the Broncos. If Wilson is sacked quite a bit, he might spend most of the game looking up at stars, except this time they won't be pop stars like Taylor Swift. Historically, these two teams are tied in their matchups, each winning 7 games, and there is one tie between them going back to 1987. And for all you young Taylor Swift fans, if 1987 does sound like all the way back, to put it in perspective, I was 12. So deal with it. Enjoy being young while you can, because time is going to start moving fast. After all that said, the Feather clearly is taking the Packers -1 for 4 units. Go Pack, go. Okay, pick number 3. We have the Los Angeles Chargers, didn't call them the San Diego Chargers this week, versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 6 points at home here. Mahomes, like I just mentioned, not looking so Mahomes-ish. He's only managed 19 points against an anemic defense of the Broncos. Any wide receiver on the Chiefs who isn't dating a celebrity really looked inconsistent. Jokes aside, obviously, Travis Kelce is a beast. Whether he's hurt or not, he's playing at a top level. He is Patrick Mahomes' one for sure go-to weapon. So as long as he's there, you can never discount anything. However, historically, though, this is a very close matchup. Mahomes and Justin Herbert have played 5 contests together. Mahomes has the edge greatly, 4 victories to 1 loss. However, in all their statistics, this is very close. Mahomes, 1,536 yards. Justin Herbert, 1,442. Passing touchdowns. Mahomes, 13. Herbert, 12. Completion percentage. Herbert takes the edge on this one. 67.4% to 62.3%. Still so close. So again, a division matchup. Expect big things from players in this game. On the Chargers side of the ball, you know you have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. They're going to be gunning for Mahomes. They're going to want to eat his lunch. I fully expect they're going to give him fits throughout the day. They might have Mr. Mahomes on his back throwing up his chicken nuggies at some point. And for the Chargers as well, Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen, they're no slouches. They're huge in games like this. Expect them to be a big part of the offense, if not the majority of the offense. The last 2 meetings last season, get this, the Chiefs edged the Chargers by 3 points each game. First, 30-27, then 27-24. So Vegas has this line at Kansas City -6. Expect a close one if both these teams continue to play up to their abilities. There's always the extra factor. Not saying conspiracies, but if the NFL decides to have the refs bail Mahomes and the Chiefs out of any tight spots, you never know. But I think we'll see a lot of what both teams are made of in this game. Looking forward to it. Feather has this one, taking the Chargers, getting 6 points, going 2 units. All right, last but not least, he's picking it. Buckle down, because honestly, no hyperbole, this could be one of the most exciting games of the NFL season if both teams step up and play their best ball. 5:20 p.m. Eastern Time game. Miami Dolphins versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are favored by 2.5 at home. It's the battle of air and sea, right? We got the Eagles and the Dolphins. Last week, Jalen Hurts had to get a wake-up call from that game against the Jets. Not to take anything away, but obviously, to the Feathers' credit, he picked the Jets to cover and flat out said he expected them to upset the Eagles, which they indeed did. You can look at it any way you want. It was a pick at the end that sealed it. Whether it's fluky or not, those are the kind of things that just swing games from one way to another for the teams and also for bettors. But to the Feathers' credit, he was right on both counts on that one. Enough said about that. This kind of game is where good quarterbacks come back and win, and great quarterbacks show up and just have a monster game. And that is what the Feather is expecting out of Jalen Hurts this week. Personally, no love lost for me to the Eagles, but I think this is going to be a huge game for them. The results of this could ripple throughout the rest of the season. They're going against a Miami team that can seemingly put points up on the board at will, whether they want to or need to. They came back from 14 points down, get 3 unanswered scores last week against the Panthers. Granted, it was the Panthers, but it seems like each week another member of the Dolphins squad just steps up and has an explosive game. On the flip side, it seems like each week the defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, is just not doing right by his defense, giving opposing quarterbacks all the time in the world to throw the ball. And with Jalen Hurts, that's not something you can let happen too often and not pay a hefty price for it. On the rushing side of the ball, the Dolphins have only been allowing 115 rushing yards per game. But if Philly can exploit this defense, which is currently ranked 20th in the NFL, it could open up a huge running day for DeAndre Swift, which would also open up a huge running day for my fantasy football team. But fake football aside, Miami has allowed 7 different players to score at least 1 touchdown this season. So Swift, statistics are on his side for at least getting 1 touchdown here, unless, of course, Gainwell goes ahead and snipes it from him. For the Dolphins, they need to have Tua on his feet throwing, and to the defense's credit, they've only allowed 6 sacks of Tua this year and 0 concussions, maybe even more important than the sack. So Tua is able to consistently put together drives and games and stay there from beginning to end. I think he's flowing. However, the Eagles as a team have 20 sacks on the season, which is only 4 off of the league-leading Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens. So they're going to have their work cut out for them, and a lot of this game will just come down to how well each defense protects their quarterbacks. How much Miami is finally willing to take chances and find exploits against their opponents' weaknesses, and if Jalen Hurts is truly over the shock of his 3-interception Week 6 game. So also for the Dolphins, cornerback Xavier Howard was limited in practice today, so he's still dealing with a groin injury, uncertain for Sunday's game, and linesman Andrew Van Ginkel, which I really just wanted to put in so I could say Andrew Van Ginkel.
Well, that's fun to say.
So it definitely could be rough for a Dolphins D that's hurting a bit, that's upset with their defensive coach Vic Fangio for not mixing up the play calling as much as they would like. Vegas currently has the over-under on this at 51.5. We don't usually touch over-unders here. I do in my own sports betting. Does it mean we're in for a shootout in this game? Will it be a defensive slog, or how will it go? Who knows? Last week, the Buffalo Bills were at one point 15 or more point favorites against the New York Giants. And I don't say this because they only scored 14. It's just that's the way you never know 1 week from the NFL to the next. They're supposed to cover 15 points according to Vegas's stats, and they only managed 14 points total. So that's what makes football so much fun. And sometimes sports betting just a statistical headache at moments for that. So for the record, the last 2 times these teams met was in August of last year. The Dolphins did take that one 48-10, but let's not read too much into that because quarterbacking for the Eagles at that time was one Gardner Minshew. Minshew mania was not in effect for that game. So this is going to be a fresh matchup, and the Feather likes the Eagles covering the 2.5, going for 4 units. So there we go. That's the Feathers 4 picks by way of Mike this week. Mike, whichever Mike you prefer. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have fun this week. I hope you guys kind of enjoyed the way I do this. Next week, we'll probably be back to normal. I like to show statistics and numbers. It's just fun for me. That's what I enjoy. Remember, no picks and parlays video this week. Letting the Feather take it easy. Hopefully, he'll be up to sitting around for 12 hours at the Westgate this Sunday. I'll be there. If you come by, I'm in the middle row in the back usually. Please say hi. I like to talk to all of our viewers and people who enjoy watching the show. Thank you guys for being here. I'm not feeling too great either, so I'm going to cut it short. I will be back next week with the Feather to talk about these 4 picks, the NFL Week 7 in general, and as a tribute to the man himself. We'll see you guys soon. Boom.